Hello everybody, this is Mark Wilbur at tushua.com and this is Phonics Friday number 9, where we learn how to help our students learn English phonics and spelling more quickly and more efficiently and more thoroughly. Today I'm going to go over long vowel sounds at the end of words, and most of these are spelled with a Y. And today also happens to be Black Friday, which incidentally I had never even heard of until last year when I was living in Beijing. My Swedish coworker told me about it. I guess it's huge in the US now, and it's like the time to like get up at midnight and get stuff on sale. But when I left the US, I guess it was really tiny then, and I was totally unaware of it. For me, I thought, Thanksgiving is where you get pumpkin pie, and being in Colorado, there are lots of like 5K races. So I did like a turkey trot, and then I'd eat a whole bunch of food and go to bed and just read the next day or something. So it's crazy how living abroad for so long can make your own home feel a little bit foreign itself. Anyway, back to the phonics for today. Long vowel sounds at the ends of words. Let's get to it. Usually I give you a bunch of examples and then have you figure out the rules, but this time there are a whole bunch of patterns and none of them are complicated, so I'll just give you the rules first, then give you examples. For a long A sound at the end of a word, we use AY. An example would be day, play, flay, slay, nay, and so forth. For a long E sound, it's a little bit more complicated. A lot of words use EY, and a lot of other words, especially adjectives, use Y. For example, monkey, key, hokey, silly, happy, mystery, fancy, and so on. For a long I sound at the end of a word, we use Y's, but I'll get into it next time or in a later phonics. It's a little bit complicated separating that out. Not too complicated, but it's more complicated than the other one, so I'll leave that out. For a long O sound, this one doesn't use a Y. This one uses OW. Or sometimes, I'll say occasionally, just O. For example, flow, glow, bestow, or just stow, throw, mellow. I think that's good enough. I'll give you some O's. Hello. Jello, no. For long U sounds, it's actually just the same as it normally would be. Same as usual. And for what I've gone over with you so far, that would be like a U and an E together. So Q, for example, is a long U sound. Hue is a long U sound. And we could spell it we could spell it that way. And there are some other things like an EW will have a long U sound, and you can use that either in the middle of a word or at the end. The important thing is it doesn't make you don't have to do anything special just because the U is at the end. And then finally, this isn't completely related, but if you have like an OI sound, sound, an OI sound will be OY at the end of a word, like boy, joy, annoy, and so forth. And if you have a sound which could sound like a short O to some people or a very different sound to other people, depending on the cot merger, but anytime you have a sound that would be represented by an AU in the middle of a word, you want to use an AW at the end of a word. For example, saw, flaw, jaw, ma, la, and so forth. And that is pretty much it. So AY for long A, EY or Y for long E. Long I sounds I'll explain in Phonics 10 or Phonics 11. Long O sound, use OW most of the time, occasionally just an O. Long U sounds, nothing special. An OI sound is an OY at the end of a word, but an OI in the middle of a word. An ah sound is often an AU in the middle of a word, and it's an AW at the end of a word. I realize I went over a lot of sounds and a lot of phonics patterns today, but they're actually not that hard. When I was running my school in Taiwan, I taught all the Y sounds except for the long I that I haven't introduced today either in one lesson. And I taught the OW along with OU in one lesson. And even though the students got a lot of sounds in a pretty short amount of time, they really didn't struggle with these because, one, it's pretty straightforward. There isn't much thinking to figure out how to apply the rule like there was with the long vowel sounds I taught in the very first Phonics Friday. And they're high frequency words that have these. If a student forgets how to pronounce an AY at the end of a word, all they have to do is remember day or play or any number of other words they've learned very early on. Similarly with an OW, if they remember window, which I think most EFL schools teach pretty early on since it's a classroom object, if they remember window, they'll have a really good chance at being able to pronounce the OW at the end of flow or glow or throw or bestow or any number of other words. And it's, this really wasn't a pain point, so obviously you have to calibrate based on how your classes do, but I wouldn't worry too much about, throwing half of these at students in a single class because it's pretty straightforward stuff. Anyway, I hope this has been useful for everyone. For those of you in the US, enjoy those leftovers this weekend. And for everybody, I will talk to you again next week. See ya.